So thanks for taking the time today. My name is Andrew Pearlman. I work with Sourcebits. I've been working in the games industry for the last 3.5 years. And before that, I worked at a company called Compete, and they monitor what everyone does on the internet. And they would, if you ever wondered why net zero was free back in the day, what they would do is they would collect every URL that you went to on the website, and then they would sell the data to Compete. And then they would know exactly how many people opened up a Bank of America checking account or started a Geico quote and quit and went to Allstate. And they basically bankrolled all of net zero. So I have a lot of experience in big data. And recently I've been working for this company called Sourcebits. And they're a great design firm that they'll take your app, we'll have a discovery session, and we'll help to create a disruptive idea. And I'll get into what that means. And they'll actually go straight from idea through creation and post-launch and run the whole company. So get started. How do you define success? It's not a straight line. Spoiler alert. You're going to have a great idea. You think it's obviously going to take over the world, and you're going to launch it, and you're going to find out that you have to do a lot of work to hit that spot just right. The ideas that have taken off in the past, recently, things like Instagram. And why is Instagram so good? It's because they have a very simple proposition. Anybody can make a beautiful photo. That's it. One simple idea that people can latch on to, they can understand right away. But putting it on the marketplace, then you have to refine it. And you have to take what works, what your audience is responding to, and then continue to improve it. And it looks a little something like this. Now that you've launched, what do you do? And this is what being data-driven is all about. It's about putting out that core functionality, seeing where your users are engaging, what they're interested in, and then expanding on the features that they like and improving them. And the way that you do that is by having good analytics, by knowing, but not just collecting data. What you have to do is answer questions. You have to see that not just how many people got to each screen in your app, but where people are engaging, where are they dropping off. And the only way that you can do this is by knowing these questions ahead of time. You can collect data. There's so much data to collect, but if you don't know how to use it, it's not useful at all. What's really important is analysis, and that's what being data-driven is all about. It's not about how many reports did you put out, it's about how many questions did you answer. When you're trying to improve your app. And you have to plan all these things ahead of time. You can't just collect everything under the sun and then launch your app and expect to pull intelligence out of it. So, it's a better way to put it. Remember back when it was so easy to call yourself data-driven if you just installed Flurry Analytics? How many people out there built an app and they used Flurry? Because it was free. Actually, how many people out there are building an app right now and wondering if they should put analytics in their app or how they're going to do it? How many people have already built an app and they're trying to optimize it? It's a pretty good amount of people. I remember about 3 years back where we would just put Flurry in there and we would just try to think about everything that we could measure under the sun. And then once we launched, we'd realize, oh crap, we missed that event. How are we not going to answer how many people got to our sign-up page? And then you are scrambling. You're trying to figure out how you're going to measure this event. So you put it into your app, you get your engineers to hot fix it, you put it through the Apple submission process. 2 weeks later, you launch the app, you start collecting the event. Then you have to wait another 2 weeks to get the data so you can analyze it. And then when you're working with Flurry, you got about 12-hour delay before you can actually look at any of the events. And that's not actionable. That's not getting the data in your hands at the time that you need it. So there's a whole another set of partners now that allow you to segment your data, not just look at it in aggregate, because if you're looking at just the full trend of people, how are you going to make decisions off of it? You know, the companies that, so that's why there's two different data providers, the two different types. The first one is ones that are more traditional analytics that look like Flurry. They're the paddle part. They're the paddle part right here of the ball. This is your main, your sturdy base of your analytics. And if you're doing it right, you're completely missing all over the place. This is actually marketing, because marketing always has to go. It just goes around. But you know, analytics is supposed to be slow and steady, and you get into a rhythm, and then when you forget your event like Flurry, then you have to stop and hold everything again. So there's a lot of new companies that will allow you to go back and pull all your data. You can basically reprocess it all. You know, if you happen to have forgot something, and all you have to do is get all of the key different points in the app. And you know, people ask you, what are the important places that I collect data? And what you want to do is you basically want to get every element that the person has to tap on something. You want to get when they come into a screen, collect how much time they spend, and when they exit the screen. And you want to collect where they're from. How did they get to your app? So if you're talking about launching on Apple and iOS, it's sort of like a black box. People get to the App Store, you have no idea how they got there. You can't track back their performance to any of the marketing campaigns you did or the expensive user acquisition that you bought. And that's where the second type of provider comes in, the marketing providers. Popularly called right now is a click attribution network, and you have companies like Has Offers. Anyone out there working with Has Offers or Coachella? Anybody out there buying traffic, buying user acquisition for their app, paying $2 to $4 for a user? We got one person. Okay, well then. This is a shocker. This could change all of your business plans right now. So you're spending all your money working on your development. You know, however much it is, could be almost nothing because you're doing it yourself. You could be paying a firm hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then when you launch your app and you want to get people to download and install it, you need to pay between $2 and $3 for people to open your app. So if you're building an app right now and you don't have at least 50% of your development money ready for marketing, then you have almost no chance for success. This is a real cost, and this is why people freak out about needing a good monetization plan or wanting to add virality to your app, because it costs a lot of money to get someone to come into your app, open it up, and then if you're lucky and you're doing it right, 40% of those people will come back tomorrow. And that means your app's doing good. So if you do the math, you're paying maybe $8 or $10 for someone to open your app twice. So how are you going to make that money back? And that's why you need partners that can measure. We're talking about click attribution. So the partners that measure exactly where your sources come from. That's why about 2/3 of the industry uses a company called Has Offers. You know, I'll just jump to that slide. So here you go. You're thinking about, a lot of people are out there thinking about doing analytics, which partners they're going to use. Here's about 2 weeks worth of research for you in case you want to add a partner to manage your marketing analytics. Take a picture, tweet me, I'll post links to the slides, but this should save you a couple weeks. These are all the big partners that are out there. Well, I shouldn't say all. I think there's about 20 more. But these are some of the ones that you should think about. And it should show you that I'm completely impartial as to which partners you should work with, because I have them all up here. I also do not guarantee the accuracy of every single one of these boxes, but at the time that I talked to them, that's what I heard. And when the salespeople tried to tell me, oh yeah, we 99% of our companies use managed campaigns, but we do self-directed. I didn't include that, so this is pretty fair. But the top two that you're going to look at is Kochava and Has Offers. And what they're going to do is every time a user hits a link on the web, say that it's from your Twitter, say that it's from an article in TechCrunch, or maybe you bought traffic on Facebook, when they hit this link, they get sent to the App Store, then they open up your app and they install, and you'll be able to track exactly what that user does. And at the end of the month, you'll say, okay, people from Facebook spent $10 on my app compared to people that came in from TechCrunch, which only opened the app one time and didn't come back. And it will help you focus exactly where you should be spending your marketing effort. And the great thing about these companies is they'll feed back into your central intelligence, your main analytics partner, which I'll back up to in a minute. And you'll be able to get full range of everything this person does in your app based on marketing channels. The second half on this list, AppSolar, Grow Mobile, Fixu, TapSense. These are people that help facilitate the actual marketing buys in case you want to spend the $2 to $3. And if you're making a Clash of the Clans game, more like 5 or 10. Here's our main hub. These are the main analytics providers. These are basically the new class of Flurry out here. I don't think anyone on this is free. Yes, pretty much. Some of them have free options if you don't have a lot of data. But where it's come in the past, over the last few years, is that on Flurry, we basically collected events. It was free. They turned themselves into an ad network instead of focusing on being an analytics company. Again, should show you that I'm completely impartial since I'm not saying great things. But what's important here is that your analytics not just collect events, but they also collect context. And what does that mean? So it's a parameter. And it's not that they opened up your app and I collected that I had 10,000 people open my app. It's that they open my app, it's the fourth time they've come back, they've been a customer in the past, or my intelligence is identifying them as being on the cusp of someone who's about to buy, and then being able to take that user, segment it, and see how they behave differently than people who are opening app for the first time, really obvious. Or, cutting all that by the channel, the people who came from TechCrunch versus the people who came in through Facebook. I broke out retention here specifically as a separate category because I think the most important metric of anything besides revenue, which I don't even think is as important, is the amount of people who comes back on the second day. So what we were talking about before, spending a lot of money to get someone to install your app. If they don't come back tomorrow, it's just gone, right? And the key to knowing if you have loyal customers is how often they come back through the day, how often they keep coming back, and establishing that pattern that if they come back every day, maybe they'll keep using my app for as long as I keep them happy, the money will follow. I think that's a pretty safe bet to bank your company around. And being able to really accurately tell how many people come back tomorrow is the key metric. And since we're familiar with Flurry, how many people look at the Flurry Lifecycle Report, which is their version of retention? Okay, we have a lot to talk about. And feel free to come talk to me afterwards at the Sourcebits booth. I know this hasn't been completely straightforward, but we'll be able to talk more specifically about where you're at with your project, and I can help you out with that. But Flurry, when you look at second-day retention for them, what they do is they do something called rolling retention, and what it means is if I come back on day 5, I get counted for day 2. So if you're ever looking at your flurry reports and you're trying to understand how many people come back the next day, it's not accurate, because if I come back a month later, I get counted as coming back a second day. And this rolling retention is really dangerous, I think, and that's why I'm spending some time on it. Because if you don't know how engaged your audience is, you make mistakes. If you try to compare how engaged people were 2 weeks ago versus last week, and the 2 weeks ago number is including everyone who logged in 4 days later, then you're going to start to make bad decisions about your app and which direction you should optimize it in. Because you'll think that people must have been more engaged because they had higher retention. So that's rolling retention. All of these other companies have something that's just exacted retention. People who came in on the 10th, did they come back on the 11th? Yes or no? Did they come back on the 12th? Yes or no? And that's what that column is. What's coming out next for analytics? And what some of these companies is starting to integrate. Namely, companies like Swerve is a real big proponent of this. And what they allow you to do is A/B test inside your app. So based on the segments that people are part of, you'll be able to serve them a different user experience directly through your app. I won't get into everything that is about A/B testing, but it's evolving. So that's what people have started to do. And now what you can do is you can create an entire custom experience based on how people are using your app. If you identify them as that person who is close to converting, maybe when they open up their app, you should give them a custom message inside that says, here's a special offer for today, because you're super valuable and we're going to give you better value. Or if someone's playing Candy Crush and they died on level 25, maybe they should get a push notification that says, hey, come back and try level 25. I mean, your mother beat it. Your mother beat it and she's got like 20,000 points more than you. Here's a free boost, stupid. Come play. You'll be able to completely dictate through these tools, through your analytics tools, the experience that your user has. You'll be able to create a custom experience of what they get when they level up, or what offers they see, what messaging they have. Everything that happens inside the app, you'll be able to control through your panel in your analytics providers. So we'll go real quick through this. I'll actually just leave it up there. The most important thing on this slide is that if you want to be data-driven, have a plan to answer the questions that you want to ask before you launch your app, and start building it and integrating on the first day of development. You can't be 2/3 through your project and then say, oh yeah, I got to put my data events in. You won't get anywhere. You won't be able to optimize. You need to launch strong with your core functionality, and then know that there's 3 other things I could build. When I look at my analytics and I see where people are engaging, which of those 3 things should I build next? And that's what being data-driven is all about. Thank you for listening to my talk. And if you have any questions, we'll be at the Sourcebits booth down there.